And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. I am really, to be totally transparent with you, I am really hoping that I remembered the correct spot of where we left off last week. Each time I look over this, one time I'll say, nope, we did that, and then the next time I'll say, no, I don't think we did. So either way, this is where we're starting tonight. So we have, just as a quick refresher, we have Jacob that, first of all, Rebecca, the mother, decided, of course, that her little baby boy, Jacob, was the one that she felt should have the blessing. And now this could go off of two premises. One could be that just because of the fact that he was, as they called it, a tent dweller, meaning that yes, of course, he did chores around the house. However, he was not a really hardy, tough guy like Esau was, Esau being a man of the field. Or it could also stem from the fact of what God had originally told her, the fact that they would be, that the older would serve the younger. So that might be, that could also very well be the reason why she decided to do this. However, being that God had said that, however, I really do not believe that there was necessarily cause for her to make sure that God's will was accomplished through trickery and deceit, especially of her own husband. However, though, moving on, what she has done, if you remember, she sent Jacob out to get 2 young goats. That way the meat would be very tender, and she made a stew good enough to be able to trick Isaac into thinking that he was eating of the venison stew that he had requested of Esau. Then she took the hide, because if you remember, Jacob got nervous, and he thought, well, wait a second, I am totally different from my brother in every way. Not only am I not hairy, I am smooth, but also I smell good. My brother doesn't. And so what does Mama do? She takes the skins, the hides, some from the goats, to cover his hands and arms, and to cover the nape of his neck as well. And then she went and had him put on some of Esau's clothes, thus giving him the smell of Esau. And that is where we pick it up here. He has gone into his father, and he said, he goes in, he sees his father, and he greets him. And that is when Isaac says, Here am I, who art thou, my son? He immediately said, what we are seeing here, Isaac is immediately going and saying, wait a second, something's off. All all Jacob has done at this point has said, "My father." A simple greeting, and yet Isaac is already thinking in his mind, something is off. And as a reminder, he has lost his eyesight. Something is off here, and that's why he asks, "Who are you, my son?" Jacob, of course, says, "I am Esau, thy firstborn." And says, "I have gone out," in my words, in the Nate Crane version, "I have gone out to the field as you have requested. I have gotten that deer. I have made you this wonderful, I have made you this wonderful soup that you asked for, so that then I can get the blessing that you said you're going to give me." And the first thing Isaac says too is, so you can kind of see here if you look at the context and everything, the gears in his head are starting to work. First of all, it's like, okay, wait a second, it doesn't sound like Esau. And then he's just like, well, I may be blind, but that didn't seem like it was long enough for somebody to be able to go out and get a deer, go hunting, get a deer, be able to dress it, bring it back, and cook it. That just does not seem long enough. And that's what he says in verse 20 is, "How is it that you found it so quickly, my son?" And Jacob comes up with a very good answer. Oh, God provided. God provided it. And then Isaac, as we see in verse 21, does exactly what Jacob was nervous about. He says, "Come closer so that I may feel you." Because he knew, he's just like, there is something going on here. It just does not sound right. Everything so far seems wrong. Well, the last thing that I can do, since I don't have my eyesight, is go by touch. There is no denying my hairy woodsman son. Has Jacob come close, and he does exactly that. He feels the hands, the arms, and he, in the process of a hug that would be that of a father to son, that would also include putting one hand on the back of the neck to pull them in. And of course then, what would he have felt? He would have felt the goat skin back there as well. And he says in verse 22, the voice is Jacob's, but the hands are the hands of Esau. Through all of this, we can, when looking at Jacob, and through this charade that he is putting on here, he is either very bad at acting, or Esau had a distinct voice that nobody could copy. One or the other. To be where it's not even something where Isaac goes and says, well, what's wrong? Your voice seems different. No, that is Jacob's voice. But there's no denying the hairy hands, the hairy arms, the hairy neck. And also, it would have been, as we see a little bit further down, it goes beyond that. However, in verse 24, he asks again, are you really my son Esau? Jacob said, I am. And then that is when he requests that Jacob bring in that venison, that stew. He ate it, And then you also notice he brought him wine, and he drank as well. Now, is this, in this case, a custom for Isaac? Say with dinner or what you might call a special meal to drink wine? Or was this a ploy maybe on Jacob's end to try and break down Isaac's discernment a little bit? We can't know for sure.
It's a difficult thing to do. Well, when the man got to that age, he always would give a special blessing to his oldest son.
Right.
So it was just a thing they do.
Well, I was going to say, it's on the wine end of things is what I'm saying. Was that a custom?
Yeah.
That, okay, it's a great thing to drink, when there's a great thing like giving the blessing going on, was that a typical normal thing of the wine, or was that something that Jacob was trying to push on his father to try and relax his senses, if you might want to call it?
I suspect it was a custom, however, I would not put it past Jacob to keep Phil full.
Right. Yes.
You'd have thought he'd been a little more concerned about the voice, but...
Right, exactly,
His whole
yeah.
thing was supposed to be that way anyway.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, it was. It was. And then moving on into, let's see, the next section of verses that we are going to do here, 26. Oh, let's see, yes, 26 through 33. We'll just go ahead and read all of these. We've gone over a couple of them, but. And his father Isaac said to him, "Come near now and kiss me, my son." And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him and said, "See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee." And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from hunting. Actually, I'm going to stop right there for a quick second. So the next thing we see, he has eaten, he has drank, although, however, that little voice in Isaac's head is still, we'll say, nagging at him. Something is off. Something is wrong here. What is one last way that I can for certain know which son this is? So he goes after one of his other senses. That is where he goes after the sense of smell. That's where it comes in with Esau's clothing. And you notice, he, if you want to say, uses a light little form of trickery himself. He does not go and say, "Come here that I may smell you." Oh, come and embrace me. Come and kiss me, son. And is that he came near, kissed him. He smelled the smell of his raiment. And it is at that point that he blessed him. And he said, "See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed." And it's at this point, verses 28 and 29, where he gives the blessing, where saying that Jacob, you will be very well blessed. You will always have the fatness of the earth. It will be, you're going, essentially, let's put it in this term, you'll be very wealthy. You'll never want for anything. In fact, your brother will bow down to you. Now remember, that prophecy, if we want to call it, was given to Rebekah, not to Isaac, as far as that the older will bow to the younger. So at this point, Isaac is thinking he's talking to Esau, So what he's thinking, he's saying is, Jacob will be subject to you. So what he very well may be thinking he is doing at this point is saying, he will be subject to you. In other words, Esau, older brother, make sure you take care of your younger brother. However, of course, we know that is not the case. What's going on here? And then it says that anyone that curses you, they will be cursed. Anyone that blesses you, they will be blessed. Okay. So what ends up is that Jacob is receiving this blessing. He is getting that blessing that would be that comes from the Abrahamic covenant. That is being passed on now to his line instead of Esau's. And then we pick it up in verse 30. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, Jacob was yet scarce gone out of the presence of Isaac his father. Esau his brother came in from hunting. No sooner had Jacob walked out of the tent. I mean, you want to talk about cutting it close.
Yeah, sure.
No sooner had Jacob walked out of the tent, receiving that blessing from his father, when Esau comes in from the field from his hunting. And it says in verse 31, he had made savory meat, brought it unto his father, and said to his father, let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. Verse 33, Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him? Yea, and he shall be blessed. Isaac sees the trickery now. And he has trembled. It says he trembled very exceedingly. He was cut to the quick. He was just devastated when he realized that little nagging voice that had been in his head the whole time, that kept saying, oh, this can't be Esau. This can't be Esau, was in fact correct. And then, of course, he says, I've already given it. I've already been given the stew. I have already eaten that. I have already given the blessing. Verse 34, when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father. Verse 34, we see a little bit of a different side of Esau than we have seen in the past. If you remember in the past, Esau is one that seemed too concerned about any of this sort of thing, whether it was his inheritance or his blood. He's a man of the woods. He can take care of himself. Big, strong guy. He can take care of himself. And that is most likely, like we had said, how it was that over time, with the inheritance side of it, that Jacob slowly worked him down to where that he had convinced Esau, that's of no good to you. What good of it's going to, you can take care of yourself. You don't need it. So then that time when Esau had come in from the field, he was weak from hunger, whether it was as bad as he says it was, or whether he was really exaggerating because he was starving. We're not for certain, other than we know he was hungry, and hungry enough, at least in his mind, to decide that, oh yeah, okay, that inheritance, that I'm supposed to get. It's not worth it to me if I was dead. And however, now we all of a sudden get to the blessing side of things when he realizes that he has lost it through trickery. It says that he cried, but he didn't just cry. He cried a very bitter cry. This was not bitter crying in this case. It does not mean that he was just very disappointed. Okay, it would have meant he was angry. Mad, yes. He was mad to the point of tears. Okay, it went beyond just disappointment. I mean, it was total, full out anger. And it's at this point he says to Isaac, "Bless me, even me also, O my father." He says, "Look, I don't care that you made the mistake. That's your mistake, not mine. So give me a blessing too." And Isaac said in verse 35, "Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing." And he said, "Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me," or tricked me, "these 2 times. This is now Esau speaking. He took away my birthright," that is the inheritance, "and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing." And he said, "Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me?" Esau, in this case, is trying to pass the blame game onto Jacob, as well as, I think, trying to really
Put guilt on his father.
Put guilt on his father for doing that. For giving away
Hey, old man, you
the
blew it.
blessing. Yeah, exactly. You old man, you should have known. You should have known the difference. We're nothing alike. Come on, you don't need eyes to know that that's not me. And he's grasping at straws here, asking, "Come on, there's got to be something that you did not give him that you can give me." And Isaac said unto him, tells him about the blessing that went on to Jacob. He said, "Esau, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and wine I have sustained him. What shall I do now unto thee, my son?" He goes, "What do you want? I have given him everything. In fact, he is to be over you.
Yeah, he's your Lord.
You are to serve him, Esau. He is going to be taken care of. He is going to be rich. He is going to be the top dog. What do you expect me to be able to do now?"
It's too late to change.
Yes, it's been done. It cannot be changed. And Esau,
Didn't you say he won?
was that?
Didn't you say he won?
Exactly. Didn't you say me a piece of it? And then he goes on to say, "Oh, you only have one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father." Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Notice, it has now gone from a bitter cry of anger to a point where he now sees that all is lost, and he wept. However, what is this weeping here? Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah. Poor me.
Feel sorry for me, because of my brother, because of my father. I don't have a blessing. Just everybody feels sorry for me. Woe is me.
I like Isaac's answer to him. But you do have.
Yeah, exactly. In verse 39,
Right.
he said, "Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Now, so he starts off with saying, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. What is that saying? He's saying, Esau, look at you. You can take care of yourself. You know, you will be, even though you are going to be, as he explains, you're going to be subject to your brother, okay? You can take care of yourself. The fatness of the earth. The earth, look, God will provide you what you need to live.
Isn't that the same argument that Jacob gave him from the time he did take the porridge and all
Yes,
that?
exactly. Like, what do you need it for? You know, I'm a mama's boy. I live in the tents. You know, you're a guy in the fields. You can take care of yourself. I mean, you go out. You can just, you know which tree it is. You need to get the right wood out of to make a bow, an arrow, or to make a spear, whatever it was that he used for his hunting, or you know how to make the traps. You're strong enough. You can just grab a hold of that deer, throw it over your shoulder. You know, I can't do any of that. You can do that. But that is what that's what Isaac is saying here, and giving his telling Esau, saying, you don't have to worry. You know, you will still be taken care of in that sense. You're just not necessarily going to be really wealthy. The lineage, and going deeper into knowing the Abrahamic covenant, the lineage of Jesus will not come from your line. Okay? And then going on to verse 41. Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, and flee thou to Laban my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do to me? So just finishing up this chapter here, Esau now has a hatred for Jacob, that it is his desire, and it's all he's thinking about. Okay? That's all that is on his mind, is killing his brother Jacob. And that is what it means when Rebekah, let's see, what verse is that in? The end of verse 42. Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. That's what that is saying there. That is all that your brother is thinking about. That it is just overtaken everything in his view, in his vision right now. All he wants to do is kill you, Jacob. So it's at this point that Rebekah says, go to my brother Laban. Go and tarry there. Now, so two things, okay? This brother in Haran, that's roughly 500 miles away. So it's not, it's not like it's a single day's journey. It's not a few miles down the road. It is one where the travel alone, there and back, would have been decent enough to where that Rebecca said, that's why she said, oh, you'll only need to be there a few days. And then I'll send for you, you can come back, because by then, your brother would have gotten over it.
It's going to take you a month to get there.
Yeah.
And then you stay a few days, it's going to take you another month to get back, so.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, plenty of time for your brother to simmer down, but don't worry, you'll only have to be there a few days. And she says she doesn't want to lose both of her sons in that one day. And she wanted to make sure also, this is an excuse that she used, okay, when she went to Isaac about it. She said that she was weary of her life. She's saying, oh, I'm just so distraught at what's going on here. I want to make sure, she's trying to cover her tracks, so where that Isaac may think that, okay, it's all Jacob. Nothing's on Rebecca here. Saying, oh, I'm just so distraught, but I'm worried that Jacob's going to take a wife of the wrong people. So let's send him to my brother's land, which would be from the area where he should take a wife, okay? They would be coming from the right lineage. And that is the excuse that she used to Isaac to send him away, was for that case. Going into chapter 28 now. We're only going to do the first few verses because we won't be able to finish the chapter in time tonight. Oh, let's see. Let's just begin reading in verse 1. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padanaram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. And God Almighty bless thee, and make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, that thou mayest be a multitude of people. And give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee, and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which God gave unto Abraham. And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Padanaram unto Laban, son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother. I'm going to stop there real quick. So, Isaac, at this point, we can see obviously, agrees with what Rebekah had come to him about. He said, well, yes, that's true. And the one thing that we can surmise is that just so that way you understand, you keep seeing the people of Heth. She did not want Jacob to take a wife from the daughters of Heth. Those people were also known as Ishmaelites. Okay, they're from the line of Ishmael. Okay,
Yeah.
even though he was a son of Abraham, he was not the chosen son. He was not the given son. He was the son born out of sin. And so he says, yes, you know what? That's very true, Rebecca. Yes, let's go ahead and send him to make sure he gets a wife of the right line. And so he's the one then that goes to Jacob and tells him, and he then, this is where he finishes, let's say, passing on or giving a reminder, passing on that the Abrahamic covenant to Jacob here, saying that God's going to bless him, make him fruitful, and there will be from him will come a multitude of people, and also is that no matter where he is, of course, remember, he's going to be a stranger, however, it will be his land. So he will still live in that as a nomad, essentially, traveling around. However, all that land that he will be in, where he travels, is his. And then picking it up again in verse 6. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take him a wife from thence, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, and that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother and was gone to Padan Aram. I'm gonna stop there real quick, okay? So Esau here, one thing that we can see at this point, even though he still has that desire to kill Jacob, you can see that something else has changed his view a little bit, or has changed his priorities in his anger a little bit, because he knows exactly where Jacob is gone. What does that mean? He's a man in the field. He could have easily have caught up. He could have tracked him. He could have easily caught up to Jacob and killed him. However, he doesn't, because in the listening and hearing where his father has now given Jacob the charge and going off and saying, we're sending you here to take a wife of my family, of the right people, of the right lineage. It's at this point that Esau goes and says, well, Jacob can wait. He's going to be around. I know that. However, my dad's not going to be around quite as long. I am so upset at my father. What can I do that's just going to hurt him? What can I do but a hurt that's different? Not a hurt as in, he's an old guy. I can't just, say, as we would use terms today, I can't just send him to heaven. I mean, that'd be a blessing. How can I just hurt him? In what way can I hurt him to a point where it's just going to be devastating and he's got to live with that? When he saw what it was that, and that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father, in verse 8, verse 9, then went Esau unto Ishmael and took unto the wives which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife. What does he do? He says, you know what? Fine, old man. You decided to do this to me. What am I going to do to you? You don't like these people? Fine. Fine.
I'm going to marry on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over there. You know what? They got some mighty pretty girls over there. I can be happy with one of them. And he went there for that, and to choose of a wife for that one specific reason: to hurt his father, to try and cut him deep in his heart.
What
yes.
I see here is that Jacob was the spiritual one that needed to be the leader, and Esau was not.
Yeah. Yep.
And so his whole behavior shows.
I mean, you can also surmise too that, looking at this and going off of that, is that Jacob, being a tent dweller, okay,
Yeah.
he may have been there, let's just say, for all of the devotions, for the church services, for, however you want to put it.
Right.
He may have been there for those times spent with God. What was the one thing Esau was known for? Being out in the field.
Yeah.
Where was his priorities, too?
Yeah.
And how many, it can be very easy we had to be very careful, to not get into that rut as well, because what could have been his, where could those excuses, or what excuses could Esau have used? Well, I'm out in nature. God's out in nature.
Yeah.
I can just worship him there.
A lot of people use that.
And
Yeah,
yes.
I think so.
And now that's not wrong. Okay? You can definitely, not to get off on a big long rabbit trail here, you can certainly worship out in nature. Absolutely, yes. I say that all the time. What better place to get alone with God than out in nature? However, there is a lot, like I said, not to get off on the rabbit trail, we're not going there tonight. There is a lot that comes with being here in church with fellow believers. Not just for you, but for all the other Christians around you in the church family, in the church body. And but then you also have the fact that the excuse that he very well may have used of, well, I have to provide.
Yeah.
I have to provide for my family. How easy of a rut is that to get into? Saying, oh, well, you know what? This job I have right here, right now, is just not cutting it. It's just not paying the bills. Well, here's this another position or a different job that, I can get that job, but okay, I can still make it Sunday mornings. I can still make it Sunday mornings. I can't go to anything else, any other services, but I can be there Sunday mornings. That's the most important. And this is actually something that was touched on yesterday morning at in the opening session at the men's conference out there in Westminster. Was, as it was Mike Gant that brought it, looked out at all of us guys and said, how many guys in here could survive a whole week on one meal? Yeah. And of course, was there a single hand raised? No. Why? You're not going to find a man that's just ready and willing and saying, yep, that's all I need, one meal for the week. Well, how many Christians are doing exactly that when it comes to their spiritual life? That one meal Sunday mornings, that's good enough for me for the week. But then once you get into that habit, that rut of saying, oh, it'll be fine for this. What happens when, okay, you feel like you're doing good that one meal a week, okay? And then manager comes to you and says, hey, this person's going to be on vacation. I could really use you to be here. I could really use you Sunday morning. I could really use you, hey, Sundays, you get $1 more an hour, or Sundays you get time and a half. Come on, just this one Sunday, that's all it is. And you think, oh, well, God forbid you say that you think this, but, this must be, we had this bill coming up, so obviously this is God trying to bless me and provide me with that extra money. Because that extra money from that one day, it'll be fine once one Sunday.
Yeah.
See what happens?
Yeah.
You start to get the snowball effect. And eventually it turns into when you start jumping on any time somebody's on vacation, you cover that Sunday morning. And then eventually you get to, wait a second, I can just worship from home.
Yeah.
I can go on, after work, I can go on to Facebook, I can go on to YouTube and watch the service then.
Ain't the same.
It is not the same.
That's right.
If you are in if you are in a spot, especially medically, if I don't want to totally say bash, the ability to be able to watch it online. If you're a shut-in, you're stuck at home, you can't get out medically, something like that, absolutely, if this is your only option, yes, tune in and watch, especially if you're able to do it live with us. That's absolutely great. That's the way that you can worship with the body, okay? However, if you are perfectly fine and healthy, sorry but not sorry to say it, you should be here.
Yeah.
You should be here in person. Like I was hoping not to get off on a little bit of a tangent, but I went anyways. So now we are late. Let's go ahead and close in prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, as we have seen in the lives here of some of these more the first generations, Lord, of this earth, and the mistakes made and the decisions made, Lord, whether good or bad, Lord, we thank you for your knowledge, or your wisdom, and making sure that they were all written down for us, Lord, so that way we can see, and Lord, that we can learn from them, Lord, that we can see maybe where our shortcomings are, where our failings are, or Lord, be able to see that what we need to, or areas we need to avoid, areas in our lives we need to work on. Lord, we thank you so much for your word and all the lessons, all the accounts, all these, Lord, that you have for us. And Lord, I just pray that all of those that were either here tonight, Lord, that may be watching with us tonight or watching later, Lord, that we would all learn from this account that we see here, Lord, in this situation here, this situation with so much trickery and deceit, Lord, that we would just learn from all of these, from these people's lives, and learn from their mistakes, Lord, and use it to be able, in a way, Lord, to be able to further your kingdom, be able to come into a better relationship with you. And Lord, I just ask your blessing on these people tonight, Lord, and the different services and Bible studies throughout this week. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.